move back into regular session.
So moved. Second.
Who first? Chuck?
My second.
Chris, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we met in executive to discuss the items under resolution ES 1217, 2013. No action was taken other than the fact that we're going to set up a special meeting for Monday, December 23rd at 7 p.m. in this room. And it's with regard to appropriation transfer related to stopgap for healthcare. So we need to transfer some money around out of the budget in order to cover a healthcare fee.
Just economic development is meeting here, 7:30 to 9:30, but I'll see if we can't move them into small rooms since it's just for one item.
We should only need, we should need a half hour.
Okay,
And we're going to start at 7. So
I'll let you know.
I don't know that there's going to be a conflict. So that was the only thing to come out of the executive session. So we don't need a motion. All right, so for the benefit of those who weren't here earlier, we moved the agenda around a little bit. The discussion items under item 8, we're moving to the end of the agenda. Obviously, we just had the executive session. So the next thing we're moving on to, and the other thing is, the next meeting will be, other than the special meeting on December 23rd, the next meeting next year will be on January 7th in this room, starting at 7 o'clock with reorganization, where we will appoint a new mayor and deputy mayor and professionals as well. And then at 7:30, we'll have our regular meeting on January 7th in this room. So the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the December 3rd, 2013 regular meeting and December 3rd, 2013 executive meeting, both the regular executive and the executive for public release, and then the July 16th, 2013 regular minutes, and then the July 16th, 2013 executive minutes, as well as the public release version of the executive minutes. Did you have a question with regard to
There was an item, I'd actually like to pull the executive minutes, or
12th
or at least, yeah, the
public release version?
yes, the public release version. There was one item on there that I thought was really definitely an item that we're still in negotiation on.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely is.
All right, so we're going to pull that from this evening and revise it. We probably need to have something else redacted on the public release version related to the library. So we'll pull the executive minutes from 12/3/2013. So with regard to the other minutes, the regular minutes from December 3rd and the regular and executive minutes from July 16th, 2013. Do you have any other corrections, additions, deletions to those minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Andy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have two items, both related to emergency services volunteer applications. The first is approval of Daniel Condren, new fire member of Union Station 251, and the second is approval of Mark Preston, new member of EMS Station 258. Both applications have been vetted and recommended for approval.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion for approval of new fire member, Union Station 251? Okay, all right, we'll do a voice vote. For approval of Daniel F. Condren, new fire member, Union Station 251, and approval of Mark Crasson, new member, EMS Station 251. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is public comments. Anyone in the public having any comments? Any business before council? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Kelly Svensson, and I live in Chelsea, in Medford, New Jersey. I'm here tonight just one to inform that the YMCA has dropped the Medford Camp program, which myself and other mothers that I have spoken to are very upset about since we won't have summer camp for our children. As of now, speaking to some of you earlier, my understanding is that this will be questioned. I did make a call right away to the Township building and spoke to Beth about this when I called the Y. As soon as I received the Y paperwork, I made a call, asked them about it, and the direct quote that I received to them was that enrollment did drop, and I said to them, one of the reasons is that you put in a registration fee that you were, under my understanding, were told as a township that we would not have because we were not charging them a fee to have them here at Medford. And they were charging us $75 a child each that they implemented last year that they did not have the year before. So a lot of parents boycotted based on that. And then when I said that, she said, to be perfectly honest, it's just not a good match. When I asked specifically what that meant, she said, it's just not a good match. So I did convey that to Beth on the call. I also told her, to be perfectly honest, I had so many compliments. My children have been involved with the camp program way before the Y took it. The truth is, it was exemplary before the Y had it. It was heads and tails better. I mean, the Y was great, but it was incredible when we had it. It was because Medford had it, and it was Medford's kids, and it was Medford kids running it with younger Medford kids. It was the kids from our school. It was the kids that we would then hire as babysitters. It was teachers that were coming in and working it. And it's not been the same since we've had it like that. I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. If there's any way that we can bring it back and bring it back home, I have been director of the park program before. I know they have to run shoestring budgets. I don't know if this is true. I have been told that our program has run where it has made enough revenue that we've used that money to have the special need camp going. If that's the case, maybe because it's our children, and the children are going to be who comes and sits in these seats someday in the future, we need to do something that's really going to facilitate them in the summer and make them good citizens so they're not running around and possibly getting into trouble. So I'm just bringing this to you because I just, with passion, feel so, it's an important issue. I think that we need to make sure that we have a program. I know there's camps with sports. Personally, I have a job that's not into sports. Many things that the kids do, arts and crafts, and they shift gears. They're outdoor, it's half day. You can go to MYAA and those kinds of things, but you need things for kids that are not into sports as well. And we've got to make sure we're taking care of those kids as well.
If I could, without knowing all the details, one of the ways that we've been able to restore some of the offerings that were done previously by the town was when people who had a passion, like you just articulated, we've been able to assist them to create volunteer organizations, to assist the township with resources that we don't have funding for. If one thing that I can say that we would certainly be open to considering would be helping to form a 501c3, and look at the possibility of a volunteer-based. That's just off the top of my head, but I can tell you that one of the things that I really like about, and you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned that by having of excellence, because I like the idea of opportunities for people to serve their community in that capacity, and it gets more people involved in what the government's doing, in programs, investing in their kids, and being part of that. So if you think there would be a level of interest in doing something as much as possible on a volunteer basis, I would think that we would be open to hearing about that. or at least opening those kind of conversations. Is that a fair point?
No, it's fair, and I appreciate you bringing this to our attention, but I mean, I think the first step is we need to get to the bottom of exactly.
I found out about the other day, I already have a meeting with the local Y, and I can't get into details of why I'm approaching the local Y first, because I know the Camden County Y is tethered, and the local Y is tethered to the county. That was one of the issues before. So I need to find out a little more information. We haven't confirmed all of this, we confirmed some of it. So we're working on that before I can give you more information.
Right, so as soon as we can get to the bottom of exactly what you've stated here, we can work to try to resolve it. Maybe we can resolve it with them. If we can't, then we'll have to figure out an alternative.
Okay, and I mean, I just even looked at numbers from 2009, our last, when we ran it at $140 for the 6 weeks, whereas when I picked it up and upped it to $250 for 6 weeks. I mean, just where we had people paying for it, if we're bringing it back to us and willing to pay the same amount of money, and we're not at a loss when we were doing 140,
Right.
I mean, if we look at it in dollars and cents, it may be something that could
Well,
fly.
Do you have her information?
Beth.
Beth has your information because, again, once we get some more information, we will most definitely be in contact.
Okay,
Because
fantastic.
we'll figure out, again, which way we're going to go. If we can resolve things with the why, and if we can't, then we're definitely going to need your input and probably some of the other parents' input on, the path we take in order to get some resolution.
Okay.
All right?
All right, well, thank you very much for your time this evening, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if not, do I have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second? Thank you, Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next item is a bill list from December 4, 2013. Actually, two bill lists from December 4, 2013, two different times. Everyone have a chance to review the bill list, and any questions that they had get answered? Yes. All right. Okay. So no other questions, then do I have a motion to approve the bill list from, the two bill lists from December 4, 2013?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Is there a second? Chris, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is ordinances for second reading and public hearing. First item is ordinance 2013-17. Do I have a motion for adoption of ordinance 2013-17 on second reading?
I move ordinance 2013-17, an ordinance of the Township of Medford to amend and supplement the Code of the Township of Medford, Chapter 140 thereof, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, to designate additional stop intersections with the Schedule 9 of 140-26 be passed on second reading.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. At this time, I'd like to open the ordinance 2013-17 to the public. Could you just give a brief
Yes.
synopsis?
We had several intersections in which the police and the township engineer investigated and recommended stop signs be added to these intersections. I'll read them real quick. Park Road and Pine Boulevard, stop sign on Park Road. Maple Road and Pine Boulevard, a stop sign to be placed on Maple Road. Locust Road and Pine Boulevard, a stop sign to be placed on Locust Road. Beach Road and Pine Boulevard, a stop sign to be placed on Beach Road. Ramblewood Lane and Elm Drive, a stop sign to be placed on Ramblewood Lane. Elm Drive and Ramblewood Lane, a stop sign to be placed on Elm Drive. And Little John Drive and Friar Tuck Drive, stop sign to be placed on Little John Drive.
Okay, so essentially, we're just putting in new stop signs, if that's the purpose of the ordinance. And with every stop sign, you need an ordinance to back it up in order to make it enforceable by our law enforcement officers. So anyone have any comments on ordinance 2013-17? Okay, if not, Do I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2013-17?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So you gotta do the voice
Oh, we got the
vote.
voice vote? All right, voice vote. All right, I'm sorry.
It's a roll call.
Mr. Pace?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Aye.
Mayor Chekhov?
Aye. Okay, any council comments? All right, if not, do I have a roll call vote for adoption of ordinance 2013-17 on second reading?
Mr. Beeson?
Aye.
Mr. Pace?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Aye.
Mayor Chekhov?
Aye. All right, next item on the agenda is ordinance 2013-18. Do I have a motion for adoption on second reading of ordinance 2013-17, or 18, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to adopt on second reading ordinance 2013-18, an ordinance of the Township of Medford establishing the Civic Responsibility Act for service on township boards, commissions, and committees.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Randy. All right, at this time, I'd like to open the ordinance 2013-18 to the public for any public comments. Again, could you give us a
Sure.
brief synopsis?
This ordinance basically established a formal standardized appointment process to be appointed to township boards and committees, and how the township will maintain those boards and committees and vacancies should they occur in term.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anyone have any comments on 2013-18? If not, do I have a motion to close the hearing on 2013-18?
So moved.
Thank you, Chuck. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Beeson?
Aye.
Mr. Pace?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Aye.
Mayor Chekhov?
Aye. Any council comments? All right, if not, can I have a roll call vote for adoption on second reading of ordinance 2013-18?
Mr. Beeson?
Aye.
Mr. Pace?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Aye.
Mayor Chekhov?
Aye. All right, next item is ordinances for first reading. We have none. And then consent agenda resolutions is the next item. And we don't have any additions to the consent agenda, no? Okay. All right, so we have resolution 2004-2013, authorizing refund of 2013 tax overpayment, block 404, lot 24, Mount Holly, block 2702.04, lot 19, Mount Holly Road, not Mount Holly Township. Block 2702.04, lot 19, Brettshire Court East, block 404.01, lot 14-5, Cortland Court, block 3007, lot 8, 14 Pin Oak Trail, block 4101.02, lot 41, 75 Hampshire Way, block 5011, lot 10, 1178 Stokes Road, block 6403, lot 1.15, 2 Braddock's Mill Road, and block 6501.02, lot 63. Resolution 2005-2013, authorizing refund of 2013 tax overpayment, block 205, lot 13. Resolution 206-2013, authorizing a refund of 2013 tax overpayment, block 2703.05, lot 16. Resolution 2007-2013, authorizing the cancellation of certain grant fund receivable balances and reserve balances. Resolution 208-2013, approving change order number 1, American Asphalt Company, Fairview Road paving. Resolution 209-2013, authorizing award of contract for removal, transportation, and disposal of liquid sludge. And Resolution 210-2013, approving 2013 appropriation transfers. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda resolutions as stated?
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Chuck. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
One quick comment, the change order went down in price, so lowering the cost of the contract.
All right, so next item on the agenda is discussion items.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Last year, we started to try to make this meeting a recognition of some of the township staff, as well as our first local government institute class. Tonight, we're again doing that. Hopefully, it's now going to be an annual tradition. And we have with us our police officers who will be recognized, as well as some citizens, our junior firemen who will be recognized, and our second local government institute class. So I think we're waiting on some of the fire still, so I'm going to start with the local government institute. What I do is ask council to come down, and when I call the local government institute folks' names, if you come up to receive your certificate of participation. I'd ask everyone to just hold any applause until after. Just so those of you who want to know what the 2000 Institute is, engaged here, we started this course, week program that runs in the fall between council meetings. And the idea is so that you get in a more informal setting to meet with staff for different topics: public safety, tax administration, finance, the budget process. Not necessarily the things you may see day to day as citizens, but the things we deal with in trying to bring you those services. The objectives of the course is to advance citizen advocacy and participation in your local government. Several of the participants last year were appointed to advisory boards. Council has made an effort to obviously bring those people into the organization because, I guess in our collective opinion, they now have a little bit of a different understanding of what we do and how we do it, and that knowledge can come into the organization from the resident perspective. We want to educate the community on what their local government does for them. What is your taxes paying for? What is your utility funds paying for? And again, to see your operations, the class gets a tour of the sewer plant, which is an interesting tour. This building, the public safety building, the firehouse. So you get to see the assets that you own and contribute to. And then, again, demonstrate what is provided through local property tax and utility rates. So tonight is the second class, and I'm very proud that people took time out to come and learn about their government. Again, I think getting engaged with us, understanding what we do, you get a different perspective than what you might read or hear out in the street. And you get it in a little more informal setting. If you have an issue with the town, deal with the town during the day-to-day. This is really, again, more of a global look at what we're trying to do and convey. Real quick, we just had a snowstorm, right? There is rhyme and reason to how we do things in a snowstorm. And we're slowly trying to get that information out. Why we prioritize streets the way we do, and why neighborhood streets, courts maybe unfortunately last, but there's a reason to why we do it. That salt won't work in certain conditions. It's a chemical breakdown. If it's too cold, and it won't melt and do what it needs to do. So there is reasons we do what we do, and we try to explain it. So first, Teresa Friedman. Teresa would come up. Teresa is, this year we did open it up to the business community. Teresa does not live in Medford, but is a branch manager at Columbia, Medford Business Association president. So, congratulations. Next is Ed Michalowski. Sorry, I keep butchering his name. I know I saw him. Is Edwin here? Yep, there he is. I knew you were here. All 14 now? Paul make it tonight? John Grudy. John in. Sandy Kruger. Peter Cohen.
It's unfortunate. You do.
George Schultz. No relation. George make it tonight. Alex Pollock. Alex make it. Bruce Helms. Some people I know. Andrew Tenney. Make it. Fran Bicker. Carol Santos.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your help.
Robert Weinstein.
Thank you.
Scott Hano. Stephen Conger, no, could not make it. Pamela couldn't. Ronald Scheller. Earl Stahl. Scott Fay. Scott Fay. Michael Bunks. That's your 2013 Local Government Institute. Okay, is Chief Remain here? Chief Remain, come up. Just gotta give it over.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles Romaine. I'm the Deputy Chief of Medford Fire Department. We're here tonight to recognize some junior members we have in our township. Medford Township is a very successful junior program for the fire department and the EMT squad. During the last 3 years, the fire department section of the juniors have won the competition in the county against competing other stations and departments in multiple drills and competition. During that competition, they had MVA patient removal, gear scramble and combat challenges, bucket brigade, know their tools, and simulate a house fire scenario. I can tell you by going and watching them perform these competitions, these young adults are very much into this and they're very well trained. In addition, in our EMS division, the juniors will also compete in the county where they actually, in scenarios include medical emergencies and trauma. They're judged on their speed, their technical accuracy, and safety principles. And during this year, they placed, the 2 teams placed 4th and 6th in the state of New Jersey. One of the great things about the young people, that participate in the junior program, they are the future of the emergency services in Medford Township. Fortunately, a lot of them are very much into both being EMTs and firefighters. We hope that they will continue with us as they get older into the past their 18th birthday, because it does go from 14 years old to 18 years old. At that point, they have the opportunity to become a full volunteer firefighter in Medford or a full EMT in Medford. What I'd like to do now is actually call the juniors up here I will read the names, doesn't have to be necessarily be in the name order. If I have problems with these names, I'm sorry. Matthew Delancey, Carrie Farnham, would you please come up? Aaron Pacheco, Chelsea Avento, Connor Evans, Daniel Matthews, James Buller, James Richwall, Joseph Trombley, Louis Mueller, Matthew Schmeinheiser, Ryan Giracodo, Tingan Sal, Madison Mason. Robert Wagner, Joseph Trombley, Amy Rubinski, Samantha Donnelly. Is that everyone?
That's here, yeah.
Again, these young members of the department have dedicated a lot of time, a lot of training. I'd like to also recognize the seniors, or I would say the adults that helped train these individuals. Ryan Hoffman, Mr. Hoffman. Ryan is a firefighter, a career firefighter in Medford. He has taken on the junior program like you can't believe. He has made it one of the best in the state of New Jersey. We're very happy that he's done this, and we really do appreciate everything he's done for it. Again, as the Deputy Chief in the Medford Fire Department, I want to thank this Town Council, this Township for supporting us through the years. My sister station 252, the Taunton Fire Company, the south side of Medford, also appreciates that. Us at Station 251, the Union Fire Company, I want to thank you for the continued support. We are getting ready to celebrate our 200th anniversary of serving Medford Township. And again, we thank you for your continued support.
Well, thank you. We just want to say that we're all very proud of you. You did an excellent job in your competition. And we look forward to you
Moving up.
Moving up, that's right.
Okay, last. Come up.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Mead. I'm the Chief of Police here in Medford Township. With me tonight is my command staff, Lieutenant Jeff Wagner and Lieutenant Arthur Waterman. I'd also like to take a minute and recognize Chief Steve Carbone from the Medford Lake Police Department who's here with us this evening. And I'd like to thank Council and Mr. Schultz for providing us this forum. It's my honor to stand before you tonight representing the men and women of the Medford Police Department. Both the sworn staff and our civilian support staff are dedicated professionals. Every day these men and women work very hard to provide you with the best public safety services possible. Tonight, we're going to recognize these officers for some of the exemplary work they've done throughout. We're also going to recognize several citizens whose selfless intervention during an incident here in town assisted us in saving the life of an individual. Our awards program and the recognition of our officers has been a tradition in our police department for well over 20 years. The way the system works is any member of the agency can nominate a fellow officer for an award. Nomination is then forwarded to a committee made up of a cross-section of the police department. That committee reviews every incident that's nominated, and they forward any recommendations for an award to me as the Chief of Police for approval and for presentation. Now, over the years, that process has evolved, and the way we present the awards has changed. But one thing has always remained constant, and that constant has been the outstanding police work that these officers do day in and day out. It's my great privilege tonight to share with you some of that exemplary work. The following individuals can come forward. Special Officer Kurt Denning. Police Officer James Albertson, and civilians James Venziano, Andrew Alexander, Richard Haskins, Jennifer Torres Carter, and Sierra Bass, unfortunately, cannot join us this evening. On October 19, 2013 at 4:03 p.m., Sheriff's Officer Denning, or Special Officer Denning, and Police Officer Albertson were dispatched to State Highway 70 near the Medford Diner for a male subject in cardiac arrest on the side of the roadway. Upon arrivals, the patrol officers observed CPR. CPR was already in progress, being administered by civilians. James Venziano, Richard Haskins, Andrew Alexander, and off-duty Texas police officer Michael Fitzsimmons, who obviously could not make it up from Texas tonight, and Jennifer Torres Carter and Sierra Bass, who were driving by, also stopped to help perform CPR on the individual. Officer Albertson and Special Officer Denning immediately took over care and began to set up a safe area to perform CPR. Officer Albertson and Special Officer Denning administered an AED, a defibrillator, and shocked the individual. The victim regained a pulse and was later transported to Virtual Hospital in Marlton by Medford EMS, and eventually transported to Cooper Hospital in Camden, where he later recovered. As the officers looked into this incident, it was determined that the male subject was traveling east on State Highway 70 when he experienced a medical emergency and lost consciousness while driving his vehicle. Mr. Venziano was traveling westbound and observed the male subject vehicle swerving into oncoming lane of traffic. He observed another vehicle about to exit the CVS and feared there may be an accident if he didn't intervene. He accelerated his vehicle, positioned the trailer he was currently towing to impact the out-of-control truck at a low speed. The maneuver brought the truck to a safe stop, at which time Mr. Venziano, Mr. Haskins, Mr. Alexander, Officer Fitzsimmons, Ms. Torres Carter, and Ms. Bass all came to aid of a fellow citizen in distress. The actions taken by Mr. Venziano helped save the life of a fellow citizen and ultimately averted the potential for further serious injury by stopping the truck before it impacted any additional vehicles. Mr. Haskins, Mr. Alexander, Officer Fitzsimmons, Ms. Torres Carter, Ms. Bass, all were commended for their concern for a fellow citizen, quickly stopping to render CPR to help save the life of the victim. Sheriff's Officer Denning, Police Officer Albertson are commended for their prompt response, quick action, and assessing the situation, providing the needed emergent care to save the victim's life. For their actions, Special Officer Denning and P.O. Albertson are each awarded the CPR Save Medal. Mr. Venziano, Mr. Haskins, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Torres Carter, Ms. Bass are each awarded the Civilian Service Award. Corporal Patron, Officer Roby. Officer Roby here? No, sir. July 9, 2013 at 10:10 a.m., Corporal Patron, Officer Roby responded to the Cedars Apartments for an unconscious female in cardiac arrest. On arrival, Corporal Patron and Officer Roby took immediate action and initiated CPR. The defibrillator was attached, and officers continued to perform CPR until the arrival of Bedford Fire and virtual paramedics. The patient was eventually transported to the hospital by Lumberton EMS and regained a pulse. The victim was later transferred to a rehabilitation hospital where she survived for several months. Both Corporal Patron and Officer Roby should be commended for their quick action providing care to the patient that led to her surviving the incident. For their actions, both Corporal Patron and Officer Roby are awarded the CPR Save Medal. Police Officer Edwin McKeamy, Police Officer Christopher Matson. On February 24, 2013, officers were dispatched an unresponsive male at 217 Falls Court. The male was located in the spare bedroom of the residence and was determined to be unresponsive and not breathing. Officer McKeamy and Officer Matson immediately administered CPR. Officers also connected the defibrillator to the subject, delivered one shot to the subject. Upon the arrival of Medford EMS and paramedics, the subject was transported to virtual monitor where the subject responded to treatment and was able to recover from the incident. For their actions that day, Officer McKeamy and Officer Masson are both awarded the CPR Save Medal. Detective Corporal Jason DeRoy, Detective William Connect. In May of 2013, Detectives DeRoy and Connect were assigned to investigate two distinct residential burglaries in which the victims were both attending funerals at the time of the crime. Detectives soon learned that several towns of Gloucester County were experiencing burglaries with a similar MO. Through a joint investigation, detectives developed two suspects and learned that they would search obituaries in the local newspaper and then locate the address of deceased through the internet. Detectives were able to obtain a full confession from one suspect and learned that he had also stolen several handguns from a residence here in Medford Township. Although the owner was unaware of the theft, as a result of the execution of 8 search warrants, visits to multiple pawn shops, and the search of an abandoned property in Camden, the detectives were able to recover numerous items of jewelry, stolen firearms, and irreplaceable paperwork for the families of the deceased. The two suspects were arrested and charged with burglaries due to their dedication and professionalism of these two detectives. As a result of their tenacity, victims of these crimes were given closure during an otherwise trying time in their lives. In recognition of this highly credible accomplishment and their devotion to duty in this investigation, Corporal Jason DeRoy and Detective William Connect awarded the Exceptional Duty Medal. Sergeant First Class Robert Zane. On August 19, 2013, Sergeant First Class Zane was traveling east on State Highway 70 when he observed a suspicious vehicle at a closed business. He noted that the vehicle was not parked there 20 minutes earlier when he had passed by. Sergeant Zane pulled into the lot to investigate and observed 2 occupants in the vehicle and an additional suspect exiting a wooding area adjacent to the business, dressed in all black and carrying what appeared to be stolen proceeds. The suspect observed Sergeant Zane and ran full speed in an attempt to enter the vehicle and flee the area. Sergeant Zane contacted additional officers to respond and was able to detain the suspects. Sergeant Zane maintained control of the situation until Officer Webb and Officer Chase arrived to assist him. Sergeant Zane directed additional officers to begin checking area businesses, where it was later determined that subjects had just committed a commercial burglary. Sergeant Zane should be commended for his keen observation investigation of the suspicious vehicle, which led to the arrest of 3 subjects for burglarizing the township business and recovery of the stolen proceeds. For his efforts, Sergeant First Class Zane is awarded the Exceptional Duty Medal. Police Officer Joseph Canuso, Corporal Jason DeRoy, and Detective William Connect. In December of 2012, a 17-year-old gas station attendant at Merritt Sitco was robbed at gunpoint. Detectives immediately interviewed the victim and reviewed video surveillance of the crime. Officer Canuso responded with his K-9 partner Nomis, and a suspect was quickly identified as the K-9 tracked to a nearby home. Detectives were able to locate and interview the suspect the next day and obtain a full confession. Through their teamwork, the suspect was arrested and charged with first-degree armed robbery within 24 hours of the incident. Recognition of their outstanding police work, which resulted in the quick apprehension of a dangerous criminal, Officer Canuso and Connect awarded Exceptional Duty Medal. Thank you, William Connect. In early 2013, Detective Connect was assigned to investigate a series of 3 burglaries that occurred at a local residence while the victim was at home sleeping. Through the course of the investigation, Detective Connect identified a total of 7 suspects. Countless hours were spent reviewing thousands of cell phone records, and resulted several of the stolen items were recovered. As Detective Connect continued the investigation, he discovered that during the first burglary, 2 of the suspects had conspired to murder the victim, quadriplegic. One actor was armed with a knife, but prior to committing the crime, he was stopped by another one of the actors. At the conclusion of the investigation, all 7 individuals were charged with various crimes including burglary, robbery, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder. Detective Connect is commended for his diligence and dedication to the police profession and to the community. Recognition for his performance, he is awarded the Exceptional Duty Medal. Officer Canuso. Officer Canuso, one of our canine officers, has demonstrated dedication and professionalism in his specialization and training as a canine officer. Officer Canuso served as a canine officer for over 8 years with his canine partner Nomis, specializing in patrol and explosive detection techniques. Officer Canuso and Nomis have competed for the last 2 years in Regional United States Police Canine Association Regional PD1, which tests the overall skills of the police canine team in events such as obedience, agility, scent, and apprehension. For 2 consecutive years, Officer Canuso and Nomis have qualified for the national competition and have been the top-ranked team in the state of New Jersey. Officer Canuso should be commended for his dedication, commitment to the canine discipline as both a partner and handler. His achievements and dedication provide a valuable tool to residents of Medford Township and bring public acclaim to the Township Police Department. For his continued efforts and dedication to the canine discipline, he's awarded the Canine Service Medal. Officer McKean. Officer McKean is our other canine officer. During the month of May of 2013, Officer McKean and his canine partner Porter made several notable narcotics arrests. On May 19th, Officer McKean and Porter responded to Pemberton Township after a request for mutual aid. While on scene, Canine Porter conducted an open-air narcotics sniff of the vehicle. He immediately indicated to the presence of illegal narcotics in the trunk of the vehicle. A search warrant was subsequently obtained and executed, leading to the seizure of a half pound of marijuana. Several days later, on May 23rd, Officer McKean and Porter were again requested, this time to assist Evesham Township. Canine team conducted an open-air sniff, and Canine Porter indicated the presence of narcotics in the vehicle, specifically the rear passenger compartment. After further investigation, the rear seat passenger was later arrested for significant quantities of heroin, cocaine, and prescription narcotics. Sir McKean and Canine Porter are awarded a certificate of merit for their teamwork which led to the seizure of large quantities of dangerous narcotics. Corporal DeRoyan, Detective Connect, Sergeant First Class Seabold, Corporal McVeigh, Officer Jackson, Officer Lund, Officer Canuso, Officer McKean and Porter, Officer Delonzo, Special Officer Greg Lash, currently police officer in Medford Lakes. On February 15th of this year, officers were dispatched to East Mill Road for an armed robbery. 2 victims reported that they were robbed at gunpoint by 3 males. Officers responding were quickly able to secure the scene and identify suspects based upon partial license plate provided by one of the victims. Within hours of the incident, the 3 suspects were located in Mansfield Township and interviewed. Confessions from all 3 and an imitation firearm was recovered. Based upon the suspect interviews, it was later determined that the robbery was actually the result of a drug deal gone bad. Officers conducted a search warrant, or obtained a search warrant for the victim's residence, and with the assistance of Officer McKean and his canine partner, a large quantity of marijuana, heroin, packaging materials, marijuana grow items, and a large significant amount of currency was recovered. The involved officers are commended for their quick and professional response to the incident, which resulted in not only the arrest of 3 robbery suspects, but also the arrest of the 2 victims for drug distribution. The investigation looked beyond the initial incident, resulting in the seizure of assets and numerous drugs. For their actions, Detective Corporal DeRoy, Detective Connect, Corporal McVeigh are awarded the Certificate of Merit. Sergeant First Class Seabold, Officer Jackson's, Pond, Chanuso, Kimi, Delando, Special Officer Blash are each awarded a letter of commendation. Detective William Connect. In October of 2012, Detective Connect was assigned to investigate a series of attempted residential burglaries in the Hood Island Tamarack neighborhoods. Detective Connect identified 6 individuals as being involved in the burglary. Through the course of the investigation, Detective Connect found 3 suspects at pawn jewelry at pawn shops throughout Camden County. As a result, it was discovered that the suspects would carefully remove only selected items from the homes they burglarized in order to avoid detection. This detective went door to door in the neighborhoods to identify victims that still had not realized they were burglarized. At the conclusion of the 4-month investigation, 6 adults were charged for their involvement in these burglaries. Additionally, the homeowner where these individuals were staying and allowing the suspects to operate out of was eventually arrested and charged with maintaining a nuisance. Detective Connect is recognized tonight for his tenacity, professionalism, and commitment to enhancing the quality of life of the residents of Medford. In recognition, he is awarded this letter of commendation. Officer Chase, Officer Webb. On August 25th, at about 11:10 p.m., Corporal Patron, Officer Chase, and Webb were dispatched to an area of High Point Drive for the report of an in-progress criminal mischief complaint. Medford Township had recently been experiencing a high volume of similar criminal mischief incidents. The above officers responded and began canvassing the area. Officer Webb later conducted a motor vehicle stop on a potential suspect which was traveling at a high rate of speed on Hinchman Road. Through their on-scene thorough investigation, these officers led to the arrest of an adult male and a juvenile male who admitted to approximately 30 criminal mischief complaints, as well as the recovery of the weapon used to damage the property. These officers should be commended for their quick response and teamwork which led to the arrest and clearance of these incidents. For their efforts, Corporal Patron, Officer Chase, and Webb are each awarded a letter of commendation. Sergeant First Class Siebel, Corporal Troy Schneer, Officer Robert Tarbo. None. None of them, they're all working right now. Detective Connect and Officer Justin Chase. In May of this year, Detective Connect and Officer Chase were assigned to investigate an incident that occurred at the Medford Park. This incident involved a suspect committing a lewd act in front of a 7-year-old child and attempting to engage the juvenile in a sexual act. Detective Connect and Officer Chase responded to the area with patrols and quickly identified a suspect. These officers eventually gained the confidence of the suspect, interviewed him, and obtained a full confession to the incident. He also admitted to numerous other lewd acts that occurred over the previous 10 years. Their on-scene investigation led to the suspect's arrest and appropriate charges. For their actions, Detective Connect and Officer Chase are awarded a letter of commendation. Lieutenant Wagner, Lieutenant Waterman, Sergeant First Class Dunleavy, Corporal DeRoyan, Detective Connect, Officer Hunsinger, Delonzo, and Officer Canuso. February of this year, a complaint was received by Officer Delonzo from a mother of a 14-year-old girl that an adult male had contacted the girl through social media and was attempting to meet her. Officers continued the investigation and eventually identified a suspect. They established online communications with the suspect by impersonating the victim. Investigators confirmed that the suspect intended to lure the victim for the purpose of committing illegal sexual acts. Arrangements were made for the suspect to meet what he thought would be the underage girl at a pre-planned location. This team of officers was assembled and set up surveillance on the suspect's home and the meeting place. As he arrived to meet what he thought was a child, the police officers were able to take him into custody without incident. The suspect was eventually charged in endangering the welfare of a child as well as the luring of a child. All the officers involved are commended for their exceptional service working as a team to remove a child predator from our community. In recognition for their actions, these officers are each awarded a letter of commendation. So that concludes the awards for the police department tonight. I'd like to wish each one of you I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to the awards and recognize the police officer day in and day out. As I said, they do exceptional work, and I couldn't be more proud of them. So again, I wish each a happy new year and a happy holiday. Take care.
So I think that's an appropriate way to end the year, as it were. Wonderful law enforcement do, our volunteer firefighters, and all the rest of the that help make this community such a wonderful place to live. And I think we should give another round of applause to all those folks for
For all the people that volunteer in Medford Township, a personal thank you. You make this community what it is. What I would like to do is invite all the volunteers, the police officers and the fire department to join us in a little function out in the lobby. And I want to also take this opportunity to thank the professional staff, the manager, and the rest of the township staff for all that you do in keeping the township on the right track. But again, please join us, all the volunteers, all the boards, committee, township staff in the lobby when we're done. And I want to thank the professionals for making that possible.
So, do we have any other business to conduct? No? All right, if not, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Chuck is the first, Jeff is the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting adjourned. Happy holidays, everyone.
Merry Christmas.